Hello, English learners. Welcome back to LifeTalk English. I'm Nico.
And I'm Elisa.
Imagine this. You're sitting at a small cafe, the smell of coffee is in the air, and someone asks, "What do you think about climate change policies?" Your heart races a little, right? You want to share your opinion, but you're worried about sounding too blunt.
Oh, yes. That moment when your brain freezes and you think, wait, how do I even start? This might be harder than it sounds. But don't worry, we've got your back. Today, we're diving into how to express opinions naturally in English. Liking what you hear? Hit that like button and subscribe to join us for more. And hey, let us know where you're listening from and what time it is there. It's always fun to connect with our global learners.
So let's start with some smooth ways to open your opinion. Instead of just saying, "I think this is bad," you could say, "In my view," or "From my perspective." These phrases give you a soft landing into your idea.
Exactly. For example, if we're talking about movies, I might say, from my perspective, thrillers are more exciting than comedies. It's like wrapping your opinion in a polite little bow.
And the listener can nod along without feeling attacked. Another one is, "Personally, I feel that it's very casual and friendly." You can even add a tiny smile. It helps in person, but in English, your words carry that warmth.
I love adding "I guess" sometimes too. Like, I guess romantic comedies can be fun, but thrillers keep me on the edge of my seat. It makes you sound thoughtful, not bossy.
Great tip. And don't worry if you repeat these phrases. It actually helps learners remember them. You'll notice we say, "in my view," a few times naturally while we chat.
All right, role play time. Imagine we're on a bus and the person sitting next to us asks about working from home. Nico, how would you start?
I'd say, "Personally, I think working from home has really improved productivity for me." Short, simple, and it opens the door for conversation.
Perfect. And I could respond, I see what you mean. I guess it depends on the person, though. See? That keeps the conversation flowing.
Listeners, notice how we're not jumping straight into arguments or long explanations. We're just planting a seed of opinion, leaving space for dialogue.
That's a gentle cultural tip, too. In English-speaking cultures, especially in casual settings, people appreciate when you share thoughts without forcing agreement.
Right. And you can sprinkle in little jokes or playful comments like, "I guess my cat disagrees with my productivity theory. She wants more cuddles."
Exactly. It lightens the mood. And don't worry if your grammar isn't perfect. Focus on the flow and your listener will understand.
Okay, let's practice one more context. Picture being at a friend's dinner party, and the topic is travel destinations. How do you open your opinion smoothly?
I'd say, in my view, Italy is the most charming country to visit. The food, the architecture, it's just magical. You can even nod or gesture. It's all part of natural conversation.
And you might add, "What do you think?" That's a tiny phrase, but it invites the other person to share, making your opinion part of a two-way exchange.
We're giving you lots of options here because it's not one size fits all. You can mix in, personally, I feel that, from my perspective, and I guess, to suit your style.
One more gentle reminder. Don't rush your opinion. Take a breath, smile, and let the words come. This small pause makes you sound calm and confident.
Listeners, try this at home with a mirror or even with a friend. Start your sentences with these soft openers. You'll see how it changes the flow of your conversation.
And hey, like we said at the cafe earlier, imagine your listeners sipping their coffee and leaning in. It's cozy, it's relaxed, and you're sharing ideas, not debating yet.
Cozy debates are the best kind, and you're already practicing advanced speaking without even realizing it.
That's section 1 for you. Warm openers, casual phrases, and gentle ways to plant your opinion in any English conversation. Now, settle in, maybe grab a notebook or just relax with your headphones on, and let's ease into today's English journey together. All right, now that we've warmed up with opening opinions, let's talk about agreeing, disagreeing, and softening statements. These are the magic tools that make debates or conversations feel friendly rather than confrontational.
Oh, yes. Have you ever disagreed with someone and suddenly realized you sounded like a villain in a movie? That's what we're trying to avoid.
Exactly. Let's start with agreeing. Simple phrases like, I completely agree with you, or that's a good point, are perfect. But you can also add a tiny nuance like, I see your point, and I also think. That way, you acknowledge them before adding your own thought.
I love that. For example, if someone says, online learning can be really effective, I could respond, I see your point, and I also think it depends on the subject and the teacher. It's respectful and keeps the conversation flowing.
Listeners, notice how this structure softens your contribution. You're not bulldozing your opinion, you're weaving it into the conversation.
Now, disagreeing can be trickier. We don't want to say you're wrong because that sounds harsh. Instead, try, I see what you mean, but I feel that, or that's an interesting perspective, but I tend to think.
Role play alert. Imagine we're at the office discussing working hours. You say, I think flexible schedules make employees less productive.
I see what you mean. But I feel that flexible schedules can actually boost creativity. People work when they're most focused, not just when the clock says so.
Perfect example. You've disagreed politely and even explained your reasoning without being confrontational.
And you can sprinkle in light humor to ease tension. Like, unless my dog is calling the shots, I work best when she's napping.
That's a natural way to make disagreement feel like a shared joke instead of a fight. Another technique is hedging. Words like perhaps, maybe, or I tend to think give your opinion a soft edge.
Yes, for example, perhaps remote work isn't ideal for everyone. It's not a definitive statement. It shows you're open-minded.
Listeners, repeating hedges in different situations is excellent practice. You're building flexibility in your English, and it's easier to remember when you use it naturally in dialogue.
Let's practice another scenario. At a local cafe, someone says, I think spicy food is too intense.
You could respond, I see your point. I tend to enjoy spice, but it can definitely be strong sometimes. That softens your agreement and your slight disagreement all in one.
And don't forget small gestures, nods, or even a soft laugh. They add warmth. Imagine saying, spicy food is my love-hate relationship.
Now known trick here is using callbacks. Remember our section 1 example about movies? You can tie that in. Like we said about thrillers keeping us on the edge of our seat, spicy food does the same for my taste buds.
Oh, yes. Callbacks make the conversation lively and show you're connecting ideas, not just throwing statements around.
Cultural note here. In English-speaking environments, showing that you've listened is as important as your opinion. Phrases like, I see your point, or that's interesting, are little signals that you're engaged.
And it's not just about sounding polite. It actually helps you think better in English. When you acknowledge before responding, your brain has a moment to organize your ideas.
Role play tip. Next time you're chatting with a friend, practice agreeing and softening. For example, that's a fair point, but I tend to think, or I see what you mean, though I feel that.
And remember, it's okay to pause. A brief, that's interesting, before you respond gives you time to phrase your opinion politely. It's also a natural part of fluent conversation.
And you can make it playful. That's interesting. Like when we argued about the best ice cream flavor.
That's true. Fun comparisons make the language stick in your memory. And your listeners, friends, or colleagues will enjoy your conversational style.
So, to sum up section 2, agreeing, disagreeing, and softening are all about showing respect, using hedges, and keeping the conversation light.
And don't forget, sprinkle in callbacks, small jokes, and nods. It all adds to your fluency and natural charm.
Now that we've mastered polite agreement and disagreement, it's time for something a bit more exciting: debate tactics in everyday life. This is where you practice making your point clearly while keeping conversations friendly.
Yes, and when we say debate, don't picture a formal stage with a microphone. Think about daily scenarios, discussing the best commute route, favorite TV shows, or even what restaurant to go to.
Exactly. Let's start with a simple tactic: giving reasons. Instead of just saying, "I like tea more than coffee," you can add a reason. "I like tea more than coffee because it's lighter and I can drink it throughout the day."
That's golden advice. Listeners, reasons make your opinion stronger and easier to follow. And it's perfect for English learning because it naturally expands your sentences.
Another tactic is asking for clarification before responding. If someone says, "I don't like working from home," you could ask, "Oh, interesting. Could you tell me what you find challenging about it?"
That's a beautiful move. It shows curiosity and keeps the conversation two-sided. Plus, you get more context to respond naturally.
Role play. Imagine we're on a bus, talking about city life. You start. "I think city living is stressful."
I might respond, I see what you mean. Could you share an example of what makes it stressful? That invites elaboration and makes your conversation richer.
Perfect. And while they explain, you can practice short affirmations like, "That makes sense," or "I can understand why you feel that way." These phrases keep your English sounding smooth and engaged.
Now let's talk about using examples and comparisons. If you say, "I prefer online learning," you can strengthen your opinion with a personal story. "I prefer online learning because last year I could attend lectures from my bedroom and still interact with classmates online. It saved me 2 hours of commuting daily."
Listeners, that's a neat trick. Stories or examples make your English more vivid and memorable. And it also makes debates more relatable. People love hearing real experiences.
Another tactic is finding common ground, even when you disagree. Suppose you're debating the best music genre. I say, "I love jazz." You could say, "Jazz is great. I enjoy jazz too, but I tend to listen to pop more."
That's gold, because you acknowledge their preference while stating yours. It avoids tension and keeps the conversation light.
And humor always helps. Like, "I enjoy pop, but don't tell my cat. I promised her we'd only listen to classical music."
Roleplay tip. In professional settings, you can use phrases like, "From my perspective," or "Based on my experience," followed by supporting points. It's respectful and makes your English sound polished.
Cultural note. In many English-speaking environments, people appreciate calm, well-structured points over loud, aggressive debates. Your tone and phrasing matter as much as your words.
Listeners, practice these tactics in casual conversations first. Try giving reasons, asking clarifying questions, using examples, and finding common ground. Repeat phrases naturally. You'll notice your confidence building.
Oh, and don't forget callbacks. If someone remembers our last debate about movies, you could say, like last week when we argued about thrillers versus comedies, I feel the same about music genres.
Exactly. Callbacks are like Easter eggs in your conversation, fun and memorable. And small jokes or playful expressions keep it relaxed.
So Section 3 is all about using debate tactics daily. Give reasons, ask questions, provide examples, and acknowledge common ground. That's how you turn regular conversations into advanced English practice.
And always sprinkle in a little humor or personal story. It helps your listener stay engaged and your language to sound natural.
All right, we've explored opening opinions,
agreeing and disagreeing politely, and even using everyday debate tactics. Now let's focus on expressing strong opinions confidently. This is where your English starts to sound assertive, but still friendly.
Yes, and by strong, we don't mean shouting or being rude. It's about clarity, confidence, and a dash of charm.
Let's start with some strong phrasing. Instead of saying, I think coffee is okay, you can say, I strongly believe that coffee is essential to my mornings. The difference is subtle, but it shows certainty.
Exactly. Or, I'm convinced that traveling teaches you more than reading alone. Using verbs like believe, am convinced, or firmly think gives your opinion weight.
Another trick is supporting your opinion with reasons or examples. For instance, I strongly believe in early morning walks because they boost my energy and focus for the day. Short, clear, and relatable.
Role play time. Imagine we're at a park talking about exercise. I might say, I strongly believe yoga is the best way to start the day.
I could respond, that's a good point. I'm convinced that a quick run works better for me personally. It wakes me up and clears my mind.
Listeners, notice how we're not arguing, we're just stating our preferences confidently while respecting each other.
Another technique is using comparisons to emphasize your opinion. For example, I firmly believe that reading a book is more relaxing than scrolling social media.
And small jokes or light examples help too. I strongly believe chocolate is a great motivator, especially on Monday mornings.
Cultural note. In English conversations, assertive language shows confidence, but it's always good to soften it slightly if needed. Words like, in my opinion, or I feel, can balance strength with politeness.
Yes. For example, in my opinion, learning English through conversation is more effective than only studying grammar books. Strong, but approachable.
Listeners, practice these phrases in real-life contexts is key. Try using them at work, with friends, or even on online discussions. The more you repeat, the more natural they feel.
And don't be afraid to add enthusiasm. Tone matters. You could say, I'm convinced that summer festivals are the best part of the year, with a smile or playful energy. It makes your English alive.
Another tip is combining hedges with strong language for nuance. For instance, I'm convinced that tea is great, but I guess coffee has its moments too. You sound confident, yet flexible.
That's such an important point. It shows you can express strong opinions without shutting down other perspectives.
Role play. Imagine a discussion about city life versus countryside. You could say, I firmly believe that living in the city offers more opportunities, though the countryside is peaceful too. Short, clear, and fair.
And always remember, confidence is partly body language and partly word choice. Even in audio-only situations, smiling while you speak adds warmth and energy to your English.
So, Section 4 is about expressing strong opinions. Use assertive verbs, support your statements, give examples, and balance confidence with politeness. Small jokes, comparisons, and enthusiastic tone make your English lively.
Listeners, practice these phrases out loud. The more you use them in real contexts, the more natural your speech becomes. Confidence is built word by word, sentence by sentence.
And now we arrive at our final section, wrapping up discussions and reflecting. This is where you gracefully close conversations, summarize points, and leave a positive impression.
Yes, so many learners forget this part. You've shared your opinion, maybe debated a little, and now it's time to end on a high note.
A simple way to wrap up is to summarize what was said. For example, so we both agree that flexible work has benefits, but we also see challenges. Short, clear, and tidy.
Exactly. Or, it seems we both enjoy city life in different ways. Fast-paced energy for me, peaceful moments for you. It's respectful and inclusive.
Another tactic is expressing appreciation. You could say,
Thanks for sharing your thoughts. I really enjoyed hearing your perspective.
That's such a warm touch. It shows you value the conversation and encourages ongoing dialogue. Listeners, this is a skill often overlooked in English learning. Ending politely builds rapport.
Let's role play. Imagine a discussion about favorite books. I might say, it's clear we both love reading, even if our genres differ. I really enjoyed this chat.
And I could respond, me too. I learned some new recommendations from you. Thanks for sharing. Simple, friendly, and confident.
Another useful phrase is expressing curiosity for future conversation. I'd love to hear more about your thoughts next time. It leaves the door open and makes the discussion feel ongoing.
Yes, and callbacks work beautifully here. You can mention earlier points to reinforce connection. For instance, like we said about thrillers keeping us on the edge of our seat, I might try a new thriller this weekend thanks to you.
Humor can also close a conversation on a light note. And I promise I won't start another debate about ice cream flavors. At least not today.
And cultural tip, in English-speaking context, showing gratitude, summarizing, and leaving an open invitation for future discussion is seen as thoughtful and polite.
Listeners, you can practice this at home by summarizing a conversation with a friend, or even in your journal. For example, write, "Today I discussed movies with Alex. We both like thrillers, but I preferred comedies. I appreciated their perspective and hope to chat again soon."
That's a beautiful exercise. It reinforces language, builds reflection skills, and gently prepares your mind for future discussions.
Role play tip? Even if the conversation is short, try to end with one of these polite closers. "Thanks for sharing. I really enjoyed this," or "Let's talk again soon." All leave a positive impression.
And don't forget the motivational note. You've shared your opinion, listened to others, practiced softening disagreements, expressed confidence, and now you're wrapping up gracefully. That's a full circle of advanced speaking skills.
Listeners, reflect on what you've learned today. Even small progress matters. Each polite phrase, each soft disagreement, each confident statement is a step toward fluency.
And remember, practice makes it natural. Try these techniques in casual conversations, online chats, or even during family discussions. You'll notice your English improving subtly, but surely.
So, Section 5 is all about closure. Summarizing, showing appreciation, using callbacks, sprinkling humor, and leaving an open invitation for future discussion. It turns every conversation into a polished, memorable exchange.
And now you have the full toolkit: smooth openers, polite agreement and disagreement, debate tactics, confident opinions, and graceful closures. You're ready for any English conversation.